You told that within 30 years the web will expand to 6 billion times as large as the human brain. But do you also think there are some limits that it's like it will not grow any further at a given moment than it's humanly possible, because we only have 6 billion people on Earth, and not everyone is wealthy enough to buy computers and to assist to the web. For example, in Africa, they cannot contribute to this process. So, are there a lot of limits? Do you think so?
That's a very good question. I think there aren't limits to how many transistors or how powerful we can make one machine. What we don't know is how intelligent we can make it. Just because it's powerful does not mean that it will be 6 billion times intelligent. So we don't know if there are limits to how intelligent something can become. And there very well may be limits to how intelligent one particular type of machine can become. So it may be that silicon chips have a limit to how intelligent you can make it. So it's possible that we can make something that was 6 billion times more powerful, but maybe not 6 billion times more intelligent. So I'm not talking about power equals intelligence. Okay?
We have one question in Catalan, so if you have the...
Oh, yes. Okay. Which side does that go? Okay.
Can you hear it?
No?
Number 2?
Sí. Se sent?
Can you hear it?
Yes, I can hear it now.
Okay.
Yes.
Bueno, fins ara s'ha vist tot el cantó positiu, s'ha vist la possibilitat de tenir un accés directe a la informació, a tot el que pensem, el que hem conegut, el que no sabíem, però tota aquesta quantitat d'informació no pot esdevenir desinformació, tota aquesta quantitat d'informació no pot esdevenir control. Podem dir que encara ens en podem escapar, o que tot això pot ser contra de la persona que ha creat, diguéssim, que ha creat la criatura?
Thank you. Yes, and there certainly will be many negative results. There will certainly be downsides to this. There will certainly be many problems caused by this. In fact, I would suggest that for every new technology that we create more problems than we had before. And so this would be a horrible thing if it wasn't for one fact, which is that while we also produce more problems, we're producing more choices and more opportunities at the same time. And I think we produce, on average, maybe only 1% more solutions than we do problems. But that 1% difference is what we call progress. That 1% difference is what we call civilization. 1% compounded over time. So I didn't talk about the many problems that this information, this one machine will have for us. Because I actually think it's not very difficult for us to imagine the many problems that they'll have. I think it's actually easier for us to imagine the problems than it is to imagine the good things. And so I've spent my time trying to think about what positive things we can do, because it's so easy to imagine the negatives. So anybody here can certainly be welcome to think about the negatives.
Any more questions? I have 3, but okay, no. I can ask you the questions later, my questions, so let's give a chance to these young people.
Hello. You've been talking about one global machine before.
Right.
And you've been comparing it to the human senses and
right.
the brain and everything. And do you think in the future we will be talking about the perfect human being and not the one global machine? I mean, do you understand? Or?
No, I don't quite understand. What do you mean by the one perfect human?
You've been comparing it like always to a perfect human being, like the brain, you know, like the power of the brain. So every time, how would I say it? Like the information, it will be more powerful than the brain of the human being. So in the end, the machine will be better than the human being.
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay. No, so I'm not suggesting that the machine will be better than the human, and I'm not suggesting that the human body becomes perfect, because I don't believe in perfection. I'm suggesting that our culture will become that together with this machine and our culture, that we will co-evolve our culture together. And I'm not suggesting that our machine and this machine become one. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that just as we depend on writing right now, that our culture is dependent on writing. We can't have our modern culture without writing. That we're not going to be able to have our culture in the future without this machine. And that just as our writing forms our identity, our sense of who we are is made up of the fact that we are literate. In the same sense as in the future, our identity will be formed by the fact that we're part of this machine. So I don't believe that we're going to become perfect.
We have three more questions.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you a question now because it has a relationship with the last one. Here.
Okay. I'm listening.
You talk about codependency between human and the machine and the web. Sometimes I talk about coevolution between human and machine.
Sure.
In 5,000 days, the machine has changed a lot, very fast way. But how we change so fast in 5,000 days? So the question is, we have this combination between machine and human. The machine is going very fast, but our cognitive system is not so fast for changing. We come from 2,000 years of story of writing, 6,000 years of writing, 2,000 years of browsing pages. So how is this gap?
Yeah. So if technology is changing so fast, but the human body is not evolving that fast because it's more on a biological scale, is there a tension? What happens between the tension between the two speeds? I think it's a really good question. It goes back to the person asking about limits. Is there a limit?